Hey YouTubers, this week's video is going to be on some baby back ribs I'm doing. I know I've had a couple of videos out on them before, and this is just another one. I'm trying out, or I'm going to try to use my, it's a homemade cast iron or steel, whatever, um, smoker that I'd gotten through my nephew. Hasn't been quite right, but I'm still playing around with it. I want to get used to it. And the ribs I'm doing a full rack for a friend of mine that had kind of helped me out when I was in the hospital for a couple of days. He was able to take care of Gracie and make sure she was fed and watered and that she got plenty of love and exercise. And then I've got a half a rack that I'm just doing for myself. A lot of this is mostly just experimental, but I want to play around with it anyway. And I also want to get a chance to use this camera. So this is the maiden voyage on this. There's going to be some issues coming up. I can tell you in advance. What I'm prepared to do is I've got plenty of propane. I've got extra charcoal. And I've also planned on putting everything on my smoker with the wood smoker. And if I do have a problem, I'll probably switch over to the gas grill. But at least I can get the smoking done with the wood smoker. And I'm going to be using pecan, by the way. So, again, I hope you enjoy this. Please show some compassion. I'm not a professional, and I may make some mistakes. I guarantee it. And so, but we're just going to have a little fun. If you just get the basics out of it, you know, you could do the ribs too. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So we'll go on from that. And, of course, let me know what you think at the end. Now, what I've got is a rack and a half of baby back ribs. And I plan on doing the one full rack for the neighbor of mine who did a big favor for me. And then the short rack is for myself because I just live alone and I really don't need that much, you know, to eat at one time. And I don't feel like stretching it out. I've trimmed off a lot of the extra fat and some of the loose portions of meat. And I've also removed the membrane off the back, so it's nice and clean. There's a little controversy on that. Some people will say no, it's fine with it on there. Some say score it. And I guess I'm still a little bit old school, and it's hard for me to let go, so I still keep it on there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little SPG on. This happens to be Cosmos. And I'll just sprinkle a little bit on here because these friends of mine, I'm not sure if they can handle too much salt. And so I like to keep it like a little bit on the light side, I think. And to be honest with you, lately when I've been doing it, I felt that there was, my ribs had been a little bit on the salty side. Now I've got some honey barbecue rub. And this is from my local store, which happens to be Lippink's. I get a lot of my stuff from Myers up here in Michigan, but Lippink's is the local store up here in Newaygo. So I'm just going to sprinkle some of the rub on the back of it. I'll do this a little bit heavier. Now, one of the arguments for taking the membrane off too is it lets the flavor through. The other one is that by keeping the membrane on, the flavor stays in the ribs and they stay juicier. You're going to have to be the judge on that. Again, I'm kind of not going real heavy on this part side. I'm going to flip them over and I'll do them on the other side here. I don't use a binding agent. Some say use a little oil. Some will say, well, use some mustard because you won't taste it. But these are moist enough, and I'm going to let these set for a little while, for a few minutes, while my coals get hot. And then what I'll do is I'll put them on once my coals are all ready. I'm kind of gambling. I'm using the end of my charcoal, so I don't know if I'm going to have that much in it. This is also a little experiment that I'm doing with my smoker. I've got a smoker that I got from my nephew, and it's a homemade one that he had a friend of his had made. Got some design flaws, but we're going to give it a shot anyway. I've been playing around with it. I hope I have enough charcoal to get me through. So there's our ribs. Now we're going to let those sit there for a little while, and then we'll get back to you when I get ready to put them on. I've got the smoker going right now. Seems to be building up heat as we go. Right now it's just a little over 100 degrees here, and I'm close to about 90 degrees on the end. I've got two thermostats on it, and once it gets up to temperature, which is going to be right around 200 degrees, I'm going to put the ribs on. And so I'm kind of running on thin ice right now because I don't know if I'm going to have enough charcoal or not. I might have to do a little run up to the store to pick up some more. Talk about being unprepared. I do have my gas grill as a backup, which I might end up just putting the ribs on the grill and after I wrap them, because the smoke's not going to make that much difference anyway. So, but we'll see how it goes. We just have to improvise. I'll have them on probably about maybe 3 hours, a little bit less. I'll kind of keep an eye on them, watch the shrinkage, and then once they look pretty good, then I'll pull them and I go ahead and I'm going to wrap them in foil, and then I'll put them back in the smoker, or if the smoker's lost its heat, I'll put it on the grill. So either way, they're going to come out the same. So the other thing is that, like I said, this is kind of a new thing with me on the smoker, and I hope it all comes out right. In the meantime, I'll get back to you as soon as the smoker reaches heat or temp, and I can put the ribs onto the grates. Okay, as my heat's building up, before I put the meat on, just wanted to let you know I'm using pecan. Those are my wood chunks that I've gotten. And I get those locally, nothing special. And gives it a nice little flavor. Normally when I do my ribs, they're usually cherry flavor. And I use a lot of brown sugar and honey. I'm going to kind of shy away from that today and see if I could do some improvements with it. So see what the difference might be. So who knows. So anyway, I think my temperature's about up, and we'll go ahead and we'll put the ribs on. Yeah, put those in there. Let's put them in like this. Okay, we got our ribs in there, and it's about a little after 12:30. We'll come back and check them probably in about an hour or so. I also want to kind of keep an eye on my heat. Well, YouTubers, the smoker turned out to be a fail. I couldn't get the temperature up over 115. Actually, I think I did get it up to about 120 to 121 at one time, but it hasn't been able to maintain the heat. There's a lot of problems on this particular smoker with the airflow. So in the meantime, what I've done is I pulled the ribs off and I put them into my Weber. This has been my old standby. It's basically my favorite grill. And so it's a Weber Genesis 2, by the way. And so basically Old Reliable does a great job. I've actually, before I had any other smokers, I was able to smoke in this before and maintain a low temperature of like about 200 to 210 degrees. And right now, I'm at 199. And that's after I opened it up. I'm going to open it up again because I've got my heat settings just about right. And I'm going to open it up and we'll give you a look at the ribs, and then I'll close it up and we'll go on until the ribs are going to be done. So once the ribs are done cooking, what I'll do is I'll put them in foil and wrap them and then put them back on for a little while longer. So, but I want to get them through the initial smoke period, which it did get, or they did get enough smoke off of the smoker itself. It's just my temperature couldn't get up high enough. So I could have left them on there, kept feeding charcoal into it, and it would have got up to probably, you know, they would have finished up, but it probably would have been after about 4 or 5 hours, and it's just not worth waiting that long. So, and I'd be wasting that much more charcoal. So let's take a stop and I'll open it up and we'll take a look and we'll see how they look, and then I'll put them back on there for a while, probably another hour, and then in about an hour they should be just about ready to wrap up in foil. Okay, you can see that they're in pretty good shape. They're still far from being done, but they are doing pretty well considering. They basically look like they've only been on the smoker at the proper temperature for about an hour or so, and which it's been probably 3 hours now. So we're just going to keep it at that. I'll go ahead and close it up, and we're going to come back in about an hour or so and take another look at them. Now what I'm going to do, I've got double wrap here. Start with some brown sugar. Spread down the bottom. I already did the small one. This has been a comedy of errors all day today. I didn't have enough charcoal. Couldn't get the heat up on that. I ended up putting the ribs on the gas grill. Then I ran out of gas. So sometimes you just can't win. So I put my bed of brown sugar down. Put a little honey on top. And put some butter down here. The ribs, like I said, the ribs are all done, are pretty well set. The bones are starting to pop through, getting a real nice color to it. They've got a nice bend, so I put it meat side down. And the next thing, I take some brown sugar again, and I put it on the bottom side of it. Don't have to do quite as much. Then I'll put some honey on it, just like the other one, on the other side. And we'll do the butter. I like the parquet because it squeezes out so nice. There. That's about perfect. And we want to make sure that this is all rolled up nice and tight. So I'm going to take the first piece and roll it nice and tight up here. Because if you don't have it tight, what's going to happen is it's going to steam. And you really don't want that. Fold this up. And I got another little poker there, so I'll go ahead and that's why I've got the extra foil. And this again. To the outside. And now, that's all nice and tight. We're going to put this on the back on the grill, meat side down. And we're going to let that cook for probably about an hour or so. I'll kind of keep an eye on it. So I'm going to stop, take a look at these, and see how they're looking. Slide this one over. Yeah, I think those are about right. Those are looking pretty good. So what we're going to do, I normally take them off the grill or off the grates, and I unwrap them, put them on a tray, and then I'll coat them, put them back on. But I think I'm going to do it a little differently today. Everything else has been different. You got all that butter and everything. And see how all the bones are pulled back. Got a little black on the ends, but that's okay. As long as we don't have too many of them. Oh yeah, those are looking yummy. Fold these up. do, I'm going to turn these over. And I'm going to be using some stubs, and this is hickory sweet, or sticky sweet. So what I'll do, I'll pour a little bit on the bottoms. And we'll kind of brush that in. I don't want to put too much on there. Of course, I'm doing indirect heat, so we won't burn them. I think these are coming out pretty good. There we go. Those are looking like some good ribs. Last time I tried to do some, I had problems with the heat, and that was on one of my other smokers, and I burned them. These, I think they're going to be just about right. I was kind of rushed too. So, okay, we've got that all nice and pretty. I'm going to crank the heat down a little bit on this. And we're going to leave them in there maybe about a half an hour or so. And I'll come back and check them. Well, I think she's been on there long enough. Let's take a look at her. Oh yeah, they're nice and pretty. And temperature's pretty good on these. Coming up to about 165, which would be just about fine. And they will probably put them in a microwave when they get ready to eat them. Oh yeah, those are bending nice. And we'll take those in. Okay, I brought mine in, or I brought them in here. And I think what I'm going to do, for starters, is I'm going to pull mine off and set it over here in a plate. I'm going to wrap those up for a little bit later. And then I'm going to take my good friend Tim's, and I'm going to cut those in half for him and pack them up for he and his wife. Well, we cut this one right here. Oh yeah, those are looking pretty good. Cut this off on the end to kind of clean it up. Give that a little sample. Oh yeah. We'll leave that one alone. And I'll put this in here like so. So we have a nice presentation. My utensils out of the way. And kind of dress that up a little bit. And those are ready to be delivered. It's been quite a task to get these done, but with a little due diligence, they have come out all right. I've got myself, I was going to have it tonight, but it looks like I'm going to have it tomorrow. And I've got asparagus set up. I'll wrap those up and get them ready to fix tomorrow as well. That's going to be my Friday night dinner. Well, that kind of wraps up this video. And like I was saying, I went through an awful lot of steps, and there's an awful lot of bumps in the road on that one. Just to recap, I ran low on charcoal, and so I did go up and I got more charcoal. I also had a hard time trying to keep the heat maintained or to rise up on the smoker, and so I made the decision after a little while to transfer the ribs over from the smoker to the grill. Now, the nice thing about that is that when I did spend some time on the smoker, and I was able to get that smoke taste into the ribs. Basically, what I finished doing when I put it onto the grill is that was able to finish the cooking time on it. And so, and if you talk to a lot of different pit masters, they're going to tell you that you don't have to smoke something for like 3 hours necessarily. You could do it for a shorter period of time. Some people like to do it for a longer period of time. Also, a lot of people like to run at a slower cook for a longer time. And on the other side, there's a lot of big movement going on right now where you talk to different pit masters, and they're going to say that they want to run it at a higher temperature. They don't want to take off the membrane, and they say they have just as good as ribs as ever. Personally, I've got the way I like to do it, and I'm going to continue doing it that way. As long as you're happy with what what you end up with. If you're happy with that product, don't change it. Just do it the way you want to do it. And so you've even got people out there that they're going to only do their ribs in an oven, or they'll soak them in like Pepsi or Dr. Pepper or something like that. Everybody's got their own way. No one way is the right way. No one way is wrong. So whatever you like is what you want to stick with. Then after I got going on my grill, I ran out of propane. But fortunately, I had 2 extra tanks, and I was able to swap one over and kind of continue on. And once I was maintaining the heat, they cooked up relatively quick, and I ended up with the product that I've got now, and I'm very, very happy with it. So, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And most of all, thanks for watching. And please, don't forget, if you have any kind of thoughts, comments, whether you like it or disliked it, put it in the comments and let me know. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you like. Whatever you feel that you want to express. It doesn't matter with me.